Hi everyone, very good evening and welcome back to CGB Mentors. So in this particular class, we have picked up the PFRDA PYQs from the year of 2021 and 2022, right? So it's a memory based paper, fine. Or we have tried that we should cover whatever is asked numerical related in your PFRDA exam. So let us start one by one. There are few things that we will learn from this video. Number one is what kind of questions are asked, right? Then in the domain of commerce and accountancy, you should learn that at what kind of depth you should go for these particular questions, right? Because sometimes the questions those are asked from these chapters, they can become a little bit what you can say tough when we talk about professional exams. But in case of PFRDA, the questions which have been asked till date are not that much tough. Yes, this includes both phase 1 and 2, phase 1 and phase 2 of 2021 and 2022, right? So shall we start? Chaliye. Number one question that we will see is ESOP related questions, right? And I'll give you the logic also that why it has been answered in a way, right? So ESOP has been offered at 75 rupees. When offered at that particular time, market price of the share was this, right? Market price on the date of exercise was 84. Now what is the fair value of option recorded in the books of accounts? Now what happens is, I have taught you a concept of prudency, right? Concept of prudency says that if you can foresee a liability, कंजर्वेटिज्म का कॉन्सेप्ट आपको क्या कहता है? कंजर्वेटिज्म, प्रूडेंसी, दैट इफ यू कैन फोरसी अ लाइबिलिटी, एन अपकमिंग लाइबिलिटी, यू शुड प्रोवाइड फॉर इट. ठीक है. सो देयर आर टू डेट्स इन द केस ऑफ ESOP, व्हेन यू हैव ग्रांटेड ESOP, राइट, and when the person has exercised it. So now as a company, what do you think? When did you got to know that okay, this is the option we have given and the person might exercise it? आप तो एक कंपनी है, आपने ऑप्शन दिया है. नाउ द डे यू हैव ग्रांटेड द ऑप्शन, यू नो दैट दिस पर्सन माइट एक्सरसाइज द ऑप्शन, राइट? सो यू ऑलरेडी न्यू दैट ओके, दिस एक्सपेंस इज गोइंग टू कम, ये एक्सपेंस आने वाला है, एंड दैट इज वाई यू शुड प्रोवाइड फॉर इट देन एंड देयर इटसेल्फ. Correct? So answer to this question is, when the day when the options were granted, company knew that the person might exercise it, and it had estimated that okay, 90 rupees is the market price of the share, 75 rupees we will recover from the employee, right, and rest 15 rupee would be the cost to us. So this is the fair value of option. And now you also know that why it has been recorded at 15 rupees, because of the concept of conservatism and prudency, right? Chaliye. Now moving forward and looking at the question number 2, purchased 50,000 units at INR 2 per unit. Now market price of the units in 2021 on 31st March 2021 is 0.90 rupees per unit, right? That means 90 paisa per unit. Now calculate the value of closing stock which needs to be recorded in the books of accounts. ठीक है, आपको books of accounts में. Now this is a very pretty simple question, basic question that has been asked, and it has been asked as per the AS2 which is on inventories. It tells you कि अगर आपने कोई stock खरीदा है, आपने कितना पैसा लगाया, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is that what is the cost or what is the net realizable value of that item on the closing date. तो 31st March पे आप देखेंगे that what is the net realizable value of the item, compare it with the cost, right, and see whichever is lower. That means what is the final amount that you can recover from the inventory item. Find it out, and that would be your cost of what, that would be your amount at which inventory would be recorded. So let's see this. कॉस्ट आपने लगाई 2 रुपए, बट the inventory is now realizable at 90 paisa. Fine. So that's what we will recognize it, this particular price, which is whatever is lower. It has been answered as per AS2. कैसे आंसर किया गया है? AS2 के अकॉर्डिंग. Moving forward, question number 3. A company has outstanding preference shares of INR 15 lakhs, of which 9 lakhs will be redeemed by using divisible profit, and for rest equity shares will be issued. देखो, this concept comes from the chapter of redemption of preference shares. ठीक है, redemption of preference shares. If you want to redeem preference shares, you have got two options, right, or two sources, you can say so. Number one source is that have you accumulated free reserves? आपके पास में free reserves पड़े हैं? If yes, then utilize it. If you do not have free reserves, then the other option that you have is issue equity shares. Basically, what is happening over here is you need money. आपको इतना पैसा वापस लौटाना है प्रेफरेंस शेयर होल्डर्स को. फॉर दैट यू नीड मनी. अब this money will come from two sources. Number one is the reserves that you might be having, or you can issue shares. When I will be issuing equity shares, I will receive cash. ठीक है, जब shares issue करूंगी तो cash तो मिलेगा ही ना. तो now see this. Reserves में they have said that okay, 9 lakh rupees we have in reserves. So what is the remaining amount I need to have? Out of 15 lakhs, I need to have 6 lakhs, right? So 6 lakhs needed over here. They have said that face value is 8. क्या है आपका face value? 8. Instead of this, they can give that okay, market value is this or like that, right? Etc. items they can give. Whatever has been given in the question, you have to deal accordingly. Fine, you have to deal accordingly, right? So now they have said that okay, we will issue at 8 rupees. So simply they have asked me what are the number of shares that will be issued. So I have to collect 6 lakh rupee. Per share I am going to collect 8 rupees. Just divide it and you will get your answer. आपको आपका आंसर मिल जाएगा. You just have to divide 6 lakh by 8. This is the total amount that I have to take from the issue of shares. One share that will be issued for 8 rupees. So just divide it and you will get your number of shares, right? Easy, simple, right? Sometimes they can give you variations in it also. Sometimes they can say कि okay, the face value of the share is 10 rupees and we will issue it at a premium of 15 rupees. मतलब एक शेयर कितने का मिलेगा बंदे को? For 25 rupees. So आपको कितने से डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा फिर? 25 rupees से, because this is the total amount that you want to get. And per share you will be collecting 25 rupees. 10 rupees face value plus 15 rupees your premium. So remember that in this they have given you simply 8 rupees, but sometimes they can confuse you with the premium also. So 10 plus 15, 25 rupees. Okay, got this? Now we will be moving forward. Question number 4. A very easy question from the topic of standard costing. They have not even tried to, what you can say, do something or kind of twisting. Nothing has been done over here. बहुत ही आसान, basic, simple सा logic यहाँ पे लगाया गया है. Whenever you try to calculate cost, देखो, whenever we try to find out cost can be impacted by two reasons. Either the price would be high, right, or the quantity would be high. These are the two things that makes up your cost. Right. So yes, price multiplied by quantity. Fine. Now over here what will happen? They have given you material cost variance which is favorable. F means favorable. Usage variance have been given to you, that is also favorable, and what they have asked is material price variance. So cost variance is a summation of your usage and price variance. Just we have put this up in the kind of equation and you have got your material price variance which is obviously in negative. Usage variance favorable था तो आपका cost variance तो अच्छा होना चाहिए ना, but see the cost variance is less. Why? Because the price variance was in adverse. When we will be doing the further questions on costing, we will try to include some more what you can say easy level of questions, but right now my what you can say pointer over here on this question is that from standard costing you can expect simple easy question. This has been asked in the previous year, but expect a question a bit of higher level than this, right? Because it's 2025 obviously. Now moving ahead and talking about our next question, that is selling price, and this comes from the chapter of marginal costing. From marginal costing we will see other questions also, and that is why in the what you can say domain of costing this chapter and its coverage is non-negotiable. ठीक है, ये chapter और इसका coverage is very 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 important. Now see, selling price of the product is 100, profit volume ratio आपका है 40%, fixed cost is 30,000 and you need to calculate the break even point. Now for break even point it can be calculated in two ways. So BP, either you will have to calculate in terms of value or you have to calculate in terms of quantity, right? या तो value terms में या फिर quantity terms में. Now in the case of value terms, simply fixed cost divided by your PV ratio, or in case of quantity fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Over here they have directly given you PV ratio 40%. आपको सीधा सीधा PV ratio उन्होंने दिया हुआ है. या तो आप value terms में निकालना चाहो तो 30,000 divided by 40% is your answer, right? Next is, if you want to calculate it in quantity terms, fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, right? So contribution per unit is 100 multiplied by 40%. What is the formula of your contribution, right? So remember that whatever is your selling price less variable cost, what you will get over here is your contribution. Fine. Other kind of variety that can be introduced in this question is mixed cost. Although the chances are very unlikely, but still mixed cost is a kind of cost which includes fixed cost as well as the variable cost. Let me tell you how. So see this. What is happening over here? Suppose I have told you that there is a product which is having 6,000 fixed cost and plus 4 rupees per unit variable cost. That's how the costing is given, right? That's how costing is provided. Now sometimes they can give you the data in such a format. Have a look. So suppose in 2021 and 2022, in 1 year, they say that repair cost was, let's say, 40,000 here and 60,000 here. Fine. Then units which have been repaired was 5,000 units here and 6,000 here. Now what is the per unit coming over here? यहाँ पे क्या आएगा आपका per unit? 8 rupees, right? And what will be per unit over here? 10 rupees. Now if it would have been purely variable cost, अगर ये purely variable cost होती तब क्या होता? In that particular situation we would have classified it as a variable cost, और यहाँ पे भी 8 रुपये आता, यहाँ पे भी 8 रुपये आता, right, in both the situations, but it's not. So that's a sign that it is a mixed cost. Mixed cost means it includes variable as well as fixed cost. Normally repairs में ऐसा होता है ना, that there is a fixed amount. Let's say if I say so, 5,000 is the fixed amount, and remaining, if you will get more units repaired, then there would be variable cost. Now how shall I find out, कैसे मैं पता लगाऊं कि इस situation में what is fixed cost and what is variable costs? Let's have a look. See, so simply what I have to do is difference in cost and difference in units. Okay. What's the difference in cost? 20,000. What's the difference in units? We have 1,000. So 20. Fine. So this is how you will get to know कि this is my variable cost. Now let's multiply it. 5,000 multiplied by 20. 5,000. Just wait for a second. Yes, 5,000 you will multiply it by 20. And that's how you will be getting your fixed cost and variable cost. I guess I have messed up something over here. Wait. 5,000 units and multiplied by your 20 units, and what's the difference in cost? I guess I have not taken the figures correctly, but that's the formula. That's why the answer is not coming right over here. But your mixed cost would be found out difference in the price or whatever is the cost divided by the number of units. My numbering is not correct, and that is why the formula is not clear over here, right? And then finally you will have your total cost less your variable cost, and you will get your fixed costing over here. Now moving forward to next question. Now next is sales is equals to 25,000, PV ratio is 40%, fixed cost is INR 20,000. Now you have to calculate the profit and loss. See, in this question they have given you the sales, PV ratio has been given, and you need to calculate P and L. So sales less variable cost divided by your then you will find your contribution. Just a second. Sales less variable cost, contribution, fixed cost, and then you will have profit. That's how you will be able to find your profit. ठीक है, इस तरीके से आपको आपका प्रॉफिट मिलेगा. So first of all we will write 25,000, right? Out of 25,000 you will be deducting your variable cost. What is your variable cost? That's your sales. 60% of that is your variable cost. 40% of that is your contribution. That's given 10,000, right? You just have to, what you can say, subtract the fixed cost, 20,000, and your loss is going to be 10,000, right? Your loss is going to be 10,000. So this is how this would be calculated. Next is find the budgeted variable cost per unit, given that the actual fixed cost is 52,000, which is same as the budgeted fixed cost, and actual total cost is 150, which is 9,000 over budgeted total cost. Now what you have to do is that in this question you have to start from the beginning. Beginning means number one thing that has been given over here is this. You have been given total cost as 150. Okay, which is 9,000 over budgeted cost. So budgeted total cost कितना हो जाएगा आपका? 141,000. Once you have got your budgeted total cost, they are saying actual fixed cost is 50,000, which is same as the budget fixed cost. So as a principle, we know that total cost is equals to fixed cost plus variable cost. ठीक है, total cost is equals to fixed plus variable cost. Now over here, fixed cost would be 52,000. I need to find the variable one, and I know that budgeted total cost is 1,41,000. This is how you will be getting your variable costing. Simply, they are asking that what would be the budgeted variable cost per unit. आपकी budgeted variable cost per unit पूछा है. You will find your variable cost, divide it with number of units, that is 62,500. Right, 62,500, and you will get your answer. Let's have a look. So total cost, actual total cost less cost incurred, 150 less 9,000, 141,000 less 52,000, 89,000. That's your variable cost. Divide it with 62,500 and 1.42 per unit would be your cost. ठीक है, 1.42 per unit would be your cost. So that's the question. Now next question is your current assets and your current ratio related. Have a look onto this. So calculating the current ratio is something that they have asked. Now over here, it's a pretty simple question. You just have to add the figures. So let's talk about something that we usually don't know. If I ask you, there are three variants to this: current assets, right? Then they can ask you liquid assets, right? And then they can ask you absolute liquid assets as well. Fine. So one thing that you should remember is obviously their formulas, what will be included, what will not be included. They will always be divided by current liabilities, right? They'll always be divided by your current liabilities. The next thing that you should know is that ideal ratios. Fine, what is the ideal ratios over here, and what would be included and what would not be included in it. Now number one, when I talk about the liquid ratio, right, when I talk about the liquid ratio, I have to remove what you can say your inventory as well as your prepaid expenses, because these are the items which cannot be converted into cash very quickly. In the case of accounting terms, we say liquid assets are those assets which can be converted into cash within a period of 90 days. Right, which can be converted into cash within a period of 90 days. So remember that in the case of absolute liquid ratio, what you are going to get is just cash as well as the debtors. ठीक है, आपको cash लेना है और debtors लेना है. If there are marketable securities, take that up as well. Okay, and current liabilities are always going to remain the same in all these three ratios. Fine. Now let's have a look. So in the case of current assets, we have been provided with inventories, okay, we have been provided with trade receivables, cash and bank balances, short-term loans and advances. It would be included in the current assets. Remember that loans and advances can be provided by the entity also. Entity loans and advances दे सकती है, short-term होते हैं, long-term होते हैं, तो जो short-term वाले हैं वो आप यहाँ पर लिखेंगे. Fine. And then you have trade payables, outstanding expenses, short-term borrowings at 250. Simply you had to calculate the current ratio, right? And current assets divided by current liabilities, 3.06 times they have asked you. Now what is the variation that they can do in this is, so try to remember the items which are included in the definition of current asset. ठीक है, like for example you can refer the ICAI definition on the current assets कि what are the items that has to be included. Similarly it goes for current liabilities also. Traditionally we have already always thought of that overdrafts would be included, or let's say your trade creditors would be included. But let me tell you, suppose we have taken a bank loan and it is going to mature in the current year, right, or your last installment is remaining, so that can also be counted in the current liability. That is why I am suggesting you that please refer the ICAI definition on the current asset, current liability, liquid asset as well as the absolute liquid ratio. So this is what you have to do. Now next we have the another question from the ratio analysis. Now the company offers a credit period of 60 days. Total annual gross sale was 90 lakhs, out of which cash sales accounted for 20%. See, this question is going to ask you about the debtors turnover ratio. A simple question. So total sales, cash sales is 20%. Multiply it with 80%, that is going to give you your credit sales. Now again a twist in this, they can give you return outwards or return inwards as well. ठीक है, रिटर्न आउटवर्ड्स या रिटर्न इनवर्ड्स भी लिख सकते हैं. सो मेनी टाइम्स वी टेंड टू व्हाट यू कैन से गेट कंफ्यूज्ड बिटवीन व्हाट इज सेल्स रिटर्न एंड व्हाट इज परचेज रिटर्न, right? If there is a kind of data, if they might give you. So return inwards means what is coming back to you. Return outward means what is going from your side. Okay, so if the return inwards is given instead of sales return, please don't get confused. It means to say sales return, return inwards, which is coming back to you. Okay, so that's the thing. Now over here we know the credit sales, account receivables 11 lakhs, right? And then they have on 31st March 13 lakhs. Fine. So it's great. Now the company follows a 360-day year for internal calculations. ठीक है. Next they have said calculate the receivable turnover ratio. So credit sales divided by average account receivable. One more thing that they can give you over here, in case of average account receivables, you have to take in the debtor balances opening and closing, plus they can also give you the bills receivable related opening and closing. ये भी दे सकते हैं आपको. Fine. So whenever if they also give you bills receivable, remember that do not divide it by 4 in order to find out the average. Average निकालने के लिए, because 4 items are given, we tend to divide it by 4, but that is not the case. Divide it by 2. Opening debtors plus opening bills receivable plus closing debtors plus closing bills receivable divided by 2. Fine. So that's your what you can say average account receivables. You will get your answer 72 lakhs divided by 12 lakhs, right? 11 lakhs plus I guess 13 lakhs was given. So divided by 2, we have found out our average. 6 times is my debtors turnover ratio. And then they have also asked me that what is the average age of receivables. Many times you guys get confused that whether I should use 360 or 365. ठीक है, 360 यूज करें या 365 यूज करें. So normally it is given in the question, right? If nothing is given in the question, go with 365. ठीक है, और अगर 365 से ऑप्शन मैच नहीं हो रहा है, and if there is a situation like that, then go with 360 also, right? So both the things, even in your books also, whenever there is a question, they write it that consider 360 days in a year, right? If nothing is given, then we assume 365 only, because that's what actual is. So that is your debtors turnover ratio. And then we have one more balance sheet. It's given property, plant and equipment, intangible assets, non-current investments, inventories, trade receivables, equity share reserves, long-term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities, trade payables, right? And then you have cash and bank balances, short-term loans and advances, prepaid expenses is there, short-term borrowings, outstanding expenses and current maturities of long-term. That's what I was telling you. See, that's how they can give you current maturities of long-term debt. Right, so this would be classified where, although it's a long-term debt, but it would be classified in your current liabilities. ये आपकी current liabilities में ही count होगा. Now simply they have asked me current ratio, so I'll take in inventories, trade receivable, cash in bank, short-term loans and prepaid expenses. Right, for total liabilities, I'll take in trade payables, short-term borrowings, outstanding expenses and current maturities of your long-term debt. That will come around 20 lakhs. ठीक है, ये आपका कहाँ तक आ जाएगा, 20 lakhs पे आ जाएगा. So that's how you will be able to calculate it कि what are my current ratios. I have told you about current, absolute and liquid ratio. These are the number of questions that I wanted to discuss today, right? Thank you so much for joining in and actively participating. I'll see you tomorrow with part 2, where we'll discuss the other questions also.